just feeling really alone. And there was just a feeling of feeling broken, feeling not enough, feeling unworthy of love.
Stop!
Yeah.
Fellas, we've all heard it before. Men don't open up. We're told we need to man up, tough it out, and deal with our emotions privately. But what happens when that leads to loneliness, broken relationships, and feeling disconnected from the world around us? Today, we're looking at a retreat program in California that's tackling this head-on called Evryman. But do these men's retreats really work? Or are they just a band-aid for a deeper issue? Let's dive in. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we? So this men's retreat takes a group of guys from different walks of life, throws them into the desert, and encourages them to do something that society tells us not to. Be vulnerable, emotional, and open up to each other. These men share their deepest struggles, past traumas, and current challenges. But here's my question for all the guys watching. Does this really work? Or are we missing something bigger?
Growing up, what I learned about what it means to be a man was really neglecting my emotions and feeling shame about crying or feeling shame about having emotions. I didn't really feel like I could talk to people about things I was going through. So in many ways, I did feel alone.
One of the participants, Kyle Summersall, a 32-year-old man from Brooklyn, shared that he had become numb to his loneliness. He wasn't given the space to express his emotions growing up, which isn't uncommon for many men. We're taught that showing emotion, especially crying, is a sign of weakness. And that, right there, is part of the bigger problem we men face.
It was feeling neglected emotionally, just feeling really alone. And there was just a feeling of feeling broken, feeling not enough, feeling unworthy of love.
Stop!
Yeah.
In these retreat programs, like Evryman, men are placed in emotional safe spaces, and the focus is on helping them reconnect with themselves and each other. There's a lot of talk about letting go, being seen, and allowing yourself to feel. But does this kind of emotional release lead to long-term change, or is it just a temporary fix? We're opening this up for discussion because we want to know what you think. Does this approach really help, or is it just another trend to capitalize on men's emotional struggles?
There's an emotional pandemic of men just giving up and being lonely. We get more and more referrals from therapists. Men are hungry for real friends, but they don't know where to go to get them, and they don't know how to get them.
Owen Marcus, one of the co-founders of Evryman, described loneliness in men as an emotional pandemic. And I can't help but agree that male loneliness is an issue we don't talk enough about. But while some of these retreats might help men to feel connected for a weekend, do they address the larger cultural issue of why men feel this way in the first place? I think it's important to ask why this loneliness exists in the first place. Society tells men to suppress their emotions from a young age, and we're discouraged from forming deep emotional bonds with other men. It's no wonder why so many of us end up feeling disconnected. But here's the kicker. Retreats like these, they might provide a short-term solution, but what happens when these men go back to their regular lives, where the same pressures to be a man exist?
So thanks. Really appreciate it, dude.
I got even more than I expected. I was really able to go deeper than I could have gone on my own and just release a ton of emotion. I feel closer to some of these people than I do with people that I've known for decades. So We don't have to do it alone.
Of course, the men in the video seem lighter, more connected, and relieved after the retreat. And that's great, but let's be real. One weekend of emotional breakthroughs doesn't solve the deep-rooted issues of how society treats masculinity. In fact, Dr. Warren Farrell, in his book, The Boy Crisis, touches on the cultural suppression of masculinity, starting at a young age. Boys are taught to disconnect from their emotions early on, and it's reinforced throughout their lives. So, do retreats like these address the root causes of this crisis, or are they just treating the symptoms?
Is there anything that little Scott wants to tell you?
He wants to say I'm sorry. I was doing my best, but I just didn't know what to do.
And it's okay.
And it's okay.
And you did what you needed.
One guy at the retreat, Scott Wright, mentioned that his inability to connect emotionally cost him his first marriage, and his second is barely holding on. He admitted that he joined this retreat to break old patterns and learn how to connect better. And while that's powerful, it raises another question. Why are we only now realizing the importance of emotional expression? How many marriages, friendships, and lives have been impacted because society told men to hide what they're feeling? So, do men's retreats like Evryman work? It depends on how you define work. They give men a chance to feel, to connect, and to be vulnerable for maybe the first time in their lives. But if the larger societal message still tells men to tough it out once they leave, we're just spinning our wheels. It's not enough to just have a breakthrough weekend. We need real cultural shifts in how we view masculinity.
A harm to individuals and society. That's how the Surgeon General is describing what he calls an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. It's that isolation and growing feeling of sadness and rage that has been coursing through parts of our society unabated for years now.
What we need is more of this. Places where men can feel safe expressing themselves, not just during a retreat, but in everyday life. So let's talk, guys. Do you think retreats like this really help? Or is there something bigger that we need to address about how men are expected to suppress their emotions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a conversation. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, share it with another guy who might need to hear this, and subscribe for more conversations about men's mental health, masculinity, and the struggles we face. Management, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.